right, welcome back. This is episode 7. In this episode, we're going to take our door, our automatic door, and turn it into a lockable door, and of course, unlockable, and set up some automation for that. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so I have made this floor a little bit larger and moved this around a little bit just to make it a little bit easier on us. And so what I want to do now is, well, right now we just have a door that if you walk up to it, it opens, you can go through it, and it closes. No other action required, right? I want a door that can be locked and then has to be unlocked by some action. So we're going to do a little bit of blueprint programming here to make this work. So the first part of it is pretty simple. Right now we have our sliding door base BP. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to click on create child blueprint class, because we're going to call this locked sliding door BP. And this locked sliding door BP is based on this one, but we have to make a slight modification to this one before we can inherit it. And these modifications, of course, will flow down to that locked door that we just created. I'm going to slide these back just a little bit, and I'm going to put a simple branch in here. I'm going to press B and hit left click, and I will get a branch. And I'm going to hook this branch up to here, and out of the false, I'm going to put it into play. And I'm going to press B and put another one in, and out of the false I'm going to hit play. Then over here under variables on this my blueprint panel variables, I'm going to click new variable, and I'm going to call this locked. And in this blueprint we got to compile first. In this, because this is the base blueprint, we want unlocked. I'm going to leave this false. So it'll still work as normal. It'll go through the false line, but if this becomes true, this will stop these signals from going through and nothing will happen. So we're compiled. We'll save that. We'll go back to here, and now we're going to open up our locked blueprint. And on the event graph, we don't have any of those events, but if we go up here to lock sliding blueprint self, which is the base class of this, we've got our details here. You'll see we have this value locked. Okay, so that's very useful. I set that to, you know what? I think I made a mistake. I did. Locked here also needs to be set to public, because we're going to control this. This now has this locked one, has this, and I can set this default to true, and that's all we have to do here. Set the default on the locked one to true, and it will be locked, and we'll start by demonstrating that. We'll go ahead and get our locked one and put it right beside our regular one. We'll play, and if we go up here to the regular one, oh, that's not the regular one, this is the regular one. What? Why won't the door open? That's very odd. This was working. Oh, that's the locked one. This should be the unlocked one. Should it not be? What did I do? Sliding door. Locked is public. We've got this coming out of, oh, I forgot to hook up the condition. I forgot something. We're going to get this locked variable that we've made public, and we're going to plug it into this condition input and this condition input, and compile and save that. And see, you know, that's the way it goes sometimes, you know. You just forget silly little things. That happens in all kinds of programming. That one doesn't work. I'll bet this one does. Yes, this one works. That one's unlocked. And now this one is locked because we set it in that blueprint that it's got to be locked. So now let's create some very simple code to unlock this door with a key press, which will simulate. Eventually you'll maybe have to have an item in your inventory, but we don't have an inventory yet. So I'm going to go up here to my characters, to my player, and my first person player blueprint. And here's the blueprint. And I really should start commenting these, and maybe when we get done here, I'll show you how to do that. But this is what we're going to do right at the moment. There's several things we need to do. We need to look straight ahead from our camera and see if there's an object there. And then we need to capture that object and see if it's the right kind of object. In this case, a locked sliding door blueprint is what we're looking for. So there's a little bit of code that we have to do here, and it can be a little bit tricky. So the first thing we're going to need to do, we need our input action. First thing we need. So I'm going to go up here to, I'm going to go to this one, go to settings, project settings. This will be really quick. We'll go down here to input, same as we did before. Hit the plus on this. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to call it unlock. Unlock door. And what key do we want to use for that? I think the key U would be good for unlock for now. And we'll close that. So now we have an event. So now we can get back to our player BP. We can right click and we can write unlock door. There's our event, and we now have our event. I'll scroll this up a little bit so we can see. So there's our event. Now we need some particular values, and so we have to go up here and get our first person camera, and from this first person camera we want to know where it's looking. So that's going to be the get forward vector. So this says what direction that camera is looking in. We also need to know something about the position of the player, and the way we're going to do that is get actor location. Just type in get actor location and we have it. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of vector math, and vector math is pretty straightforward. A vector, for our purposes, is a thing pointing in some direction. There's other definitions of vector in higher math and in various kinds of mathematics, but we're dealing in a 3D environment where for us, especially this vector, this forward vector, it's pointing in the direction we're pointing. It's a directional pointer. If we take that vector and multiply it by a value, we will lengthen the vector. We'll run it out to a certain length. And so what I want to do is type in multiply, and I want to multiply this vector by a, well, it could be a float or an int. We'll do a float, why not? And we're in units, and the units that we operate in are centimeters, which are about a half an inch. 100 centimeters is a meter, which is 3.3 feet, roughly. 3.29, something or another. Okay. We want to only look out a certain distance for clicking on a door, for touching a door with our U button to unlock it. So I'm thinking about, we'll give them about 5 meters, or about 15 feet, roughly. Maybe a little bit more, 16, 18 feet, 17 feet, something like that. Doesn't matter. Forget feet. We're talking meters. Meter is a little more than a yard. Okay? So let's say 5 meters. So we're in centimeters is our units. So that would be 500. I'm going to click in here. That would be 500 centimeters would be 1 meter. So we're multiplying this vector by 500. This vector is just the forward vector. It's 1. It's pointing a distance of 1 in the forward direction. Now this value is pointing, reaching out 500 or 5 meters in that direction. Okay. Now all we have to do is take this location, this is where our actor is, and add it to that vector. So we can just pull off of here and type in add, and we want to add a vector to a vector. So add vector to vector, and we plug this into here. This output here is now a value that represents some point 5 meters in front of us. Now, you might ask, why is that important? Well, it's important here because we're going to type in line trace by channel. What a line trace by channel does is it's going to take this start location, which is where our character is, and it's going to take this end location, which is 5 meters away, and it's going to look along that line. And it's going to look along that line to see if it hits an actor. If it hits an actor, and this is going to be called when we push that unlock door button, the U key is going to call this. If it finds an actor, it's going to put it out in this output hits array. Now we're dealing with arrays in Blueprint, and we'll deal with arrays quite a lot actually when we start building things like items and putting them in an inventory. We'll deal with arrays. Right now I'm really only care about the very first thing I hit. I don't care if there's something beyond the first thing I hit, because I need to be looking at the door. So I'm just going to do a get, and I'm going to get a reference to that, and I want the 0th element. You know, in programming, it's not that we count starting at 0, it's that we index starting at 0. The first index is 0. There's a mathematical reason why that is. It's not 1, it's 0. And it really basically says is at the start location, add 0 and you're there. Boom, it's the start location. This will get the very first element of this out hits array, which is the very first thing that our line trace going out from our camera hits. What we want to do from here is take this and we want to cast it. And we're going to cast it to our locked door, our cast to locked door blueprint. Cast to out hits. We're getting element 0. Sometimes you have to do it off of this. Cast to locked sliding door blueprint. Okay, we have to do it off that line. And this is the object we want to cast to that, except it won't. Oh, I know why it wouldn't. Okay, sorry. We need to break the hit result. Okay, so that was actually not a list of objects coming out of there. It was a list of hit results, which is a structure that contains all kinds of information, which we can now come up here, hit actor. And if you remember, we based our blueprint off of actor, so now we can do cast to lock door blueprint, and that's actually the one we want. We've now cast it to that hit door blueprint. Now that could succeed or fail. It might not be. We might not be pointing at the door. We might be pointing at something else, in which case this cast will fail, and we could do something in the case of a failure. But if it doesn't fail, we get this message out here, and we get this value here as that cast has succeeded. This value is correct, and this execution goes. So what we want is this, and what we want to do is set locked, and there it is. And we're going to set locked to false. In other words, we're going to unlock the door. So let's go back through it slowly. We are looking at something. We press the L key. This calls a line trace, which comes back and gets this information. It collects up all this information. It gets the forward vector of the camera. It gets our current location. It multiplies the forward vector by 500, which is 5 meters. It adds it to that location as the end point, and it gets our current location as the start point. It traces out. It hits something. When it hits something, it comes out here and it fires this cast. The cast looks to see the hit actor, which gets the very first element. We're only interested right now in the first thing it hit. If that cast succeeds, it will come out here and set that blueprint's target locked to false. It's unchecked. Compile. And we compiled successfully. Let's save it. Go back here and let's play and let's see what happens. First of all, I want to go around to the front. Well, this opens. That must be the first. Is that the first one I did? This opens. Okay. This is opening. This is opening. Why is this opening? I didn't hit the L. Okay, troubleshooting time. Probably because I did I not compile and save this? This is locked. This is by default not. This is our locked sliding door. Locked is set. Compile. Save. Let me see here. Where's my... First of all, I'm getting confused as to where I put what, so... I'm pretty sure this is the locked. That is the locked, and it's the one I'm directly in front of when I spawn in. So when I go here, that's the locked one, and it's opening. Why is it opening? It shouldn't be opening. Wasn't it just working? Locked BP is locked. We can close this so I don't get confused. That's set to public. It's locked. If this is true, true, it should not play either of these. It should not play the animation at all. And in the default, it's false. And the locked is set to true. It should not work. It shouldn't let me in. Maybe am I making a mistake in my blueprint? FP player BP. Input access unlock door is the only thing that fires that. Let's go back and check that access setting. Did I do something wrong there? Settings, project settings. So I know this can be slow and tedious, but I think it's important that you see troubleshooting techniques too. It's set to U. Oh, I put it under action. I put it under access mappings. Let's kill that. Unlock door, access mapping. We wanted an action mapping called unlock door, and we want it to be a keyboard of type character U, and we want to save that. Go back to our first person player. Get rid of this. We want unlock door. It's an action event pressed. So I think what was happening was that was activating with some value because it was an axis, and now we don't do anything. So if I'm looking at the wrong door, if I'm looking at this door and I hit U, coming in here does nothing. But if I'm looking at this one and I hit U, coming in here also does nothing. U, You. That one works. This one doesn't work. You. Okay. Well, more troubleshooting. Sliding door VP. This one. What have we got happening? Input action mapping, unlock door. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to hit play here. I'm going to pull this over. I'm going to spin this around. I'm looking at the door. I hit you. Oh, I'm not in it. You. Doesn't seem to be firing for some reason. Settings. Project settings. Input. Action mappings. Access mappings. Action mappings. Unlock door. Set to you. Killed that one from there. We definitely found the input action unlock door here was you. Why isn't it firing? Compile. Save. You. Oops. Let's try that again. We move this over a little bit so I can see that action mapping thing. Got it in the way. Alright, let's move this here. Okay. You. You. Huh. That's odd. Why would it not? Am I in the FP player BP? First person player BP. Am I in the right blueprint? Ah, we've got some errors. Let's see here. Attempt to access 0 from array. So we're getting attempt to access 0 from array call. Hit length. Okay, that's what's happening. We've got that's odd. Maybe it was the wrong get that I pulled in there somehow. Attempt to access 0. Array call function line trace out hits length 0. Am I not close enough? Seems okay with that. And there it goes. Okay, so I see the mistake, kind of the mistake I made here. I made it kind of maybe not far enough. If we come over here, so we can't access it now, but if we get in here, now we can access it. Okay, well, it does work. The problem is if it's too far away and this gets nothing, where is it? Here. if it's too far away and gets nothing, we shouldn't try to access this. So we really, this return value, yeah, true if there was a blocking hit, false otherwise. So really we need to do a B branch, put this into here, bring this out of the true, and plug this return value into here, and that should stop those errors from happening at least. Let's go in here so we can see the error messages. Fire this up and I hit U, and I'm no longer getting error messages if I'm not close enough. Okay, so if I'm too far away, no more error messages. So yeah, I just missed a check there. So that's it. We have a locking door and a locking door, a regular door that's always unlocked, and we can set up controls. Now I just used a key to activate this because we don't have really any items or anything like this, but it could be a button on the wall, it could be a place where you stick a card in or something. Maybe you have to have a card and you come up here, there could be an animation that puts the card in and then the door opens up. All kinds of things can be done with that simple variable, locked versus unlocked. However we want to do it, however we want to activate it. So, or it could be based on player. Maybe this is a private door. If it's a server-based game and the players got a place of their own, maybe other players just can't walk up and open the door. Maybe they have to ring the doorbell, and the owner has to be present and come in and open the door for them. So, all kinds of things can be done. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, this is just a quick, short correction to a couple of small mistakes that I made in the current video. Right here in the first-person player blueprint, get actor location is not what we want. We want the camera location, and the reason for that I'll explain in a moment. But what we'll do in here is we'll type in get world location, or get world. There it is, get world location, and we'll use world location of the camera here and here, and that will make a considerable improvement in the operation of this. If we press U now and walk forward, U, walk forward, yeah. What was happening before? I'm going to turn on the line trace here in debug mode, yeah, for duration, and I'll show you what's going on with these line traces. Now there's a line traced in the air up here from where my eyes were. Where we were doing it before, that line trace would have appeared along the floor. Let's do a U again, and that's working now. We were going from the base of our feet in the forward direction, so it would have been traced along the floor to the bottom here, and it might have been missing occasionally, especially if we were looking down a little bit or something. It might have been missing the door, and that's why it wasn't always working and was kind of flaky. So there's that. And the other thing, and this isn't that big a deal, I accidentally selected multi-line trace by channel. That's why we had to get the first element of it. There's another kind of line trace by channel. I selected that multi-line trace by channel. Line trace dot channel eliminates the need to get this array element out of here. So I'm just going to change that out right now. I'm just going to move this down to here, and we'll plug this into here, and we'll plug this into here, which means that stuff will go away. We can now delete this, pull this up here. We can delete this this particular get, and we can do this hit breakout here and run this over here, and we no longer have to get the first element of that for the hit, because it will be the first thing that it comes to. We're just looking for a single object, so there was no reason to do the multi-trace. So if we go back here now and play, I think we're more than 5 meters away here is what the problem is, which is why it isn't tracing. Oh, I turned it off. I turned the line trace off. Let's turn that back on real quick. Persistent is what I want. Compile, save. That way we can do several of these line traces. So if I hit the U a few times here, nothing really happens. U, well, what's wrong? Oh, I'm not playing. Okay. U, there's a line trace. It did it to that. Hitting the wrong key. Oh, if we do a U over here, we'll see the line trace. That's what that line trace thing is doing. Is it's shooting that line at it. And we're going to change out this mechanism as well and do this whole thing a little bit differently in order to accommodate other kinds of things we want to activate and do with our pointer arrow there. So. That's it for this little correction segment, and thanks for watching. All right, that's it for episode 7. We're getting along. We're coming along. We've got some automated doors we can work with, and we're going to start building out some other game pieces so we can start building up an arena or a set of some sort for the character to move through. And soon we'll be working on weapons and other stuff. So I hope you continue watching, and I hope you enjoy the series. If you really like the series, hit that like button. If you want to subscribe, please do. I'm always happy to have subscribers on board. And if you want to get notifications when I upload a new video, hit that notify button, and you'll be good to go. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.